everyone, welcome back to Little K Artistry. I am Little K, the artist also known as Kristen, and I am welcoming you back to another painting tutorial. So welcome if you're a new subscriber. Thank you so much for being here and thank you for subscribing. If you are a returning subscriber, I appreciate you so much for coming back. I hope you are enjoying the content that you find here. I am going to be doing another, like I said, another tutorial today. This is a cradled wood canvas that I have covered with gesso, and I actually painted it. I was going to do a cloud pour on this one, which is why I painted it with the blue, but I decided against it, doing something different today. But this is just acrylic gesso, and I just mixed it with a little blue paint so it wasn't white. And this is a 24-inch round cradled wood canvas. And what I have in the middle here, all of my paints today are, I want to show a really simple tutorial for those who are newbies and for someone who doesn't have a gigantic budget for all those fancy schmancy pouring mediums and you want to do something really simple. All of my colors, to have quite a selection of 7 colors that are either metallic or they're in the brown shades. Excuse me, 7 of those. And I started with just titanium white. This is not house paint. This is Amsterdam titanium white, and all of my paints today are mixed with US Floetrol. And this is a little bit of a different mix this time because it is 1 part paint to 4 parts Floetrol. So I'm doing something a little bit different today. This is, I think it's called a ribbon pour. Not sure, but all I did was mix 1 part paint to 4 parts Floetrol, and then I did add a tiny bit of distilled water to the ones that were a little bit thicker. So for example, my Liquitex Basics paints are pretty thick, and my Nova paints are a little bit thinner. So some of the Liquitex Basic paints I had to thin down a little bit. This one is also a thicker one. This is a golden tube paint. It's transparent brown iron oxide, so that one I had to add a little bit of water, and the only reason I'm adding water excuse me, I'm adding water to match the thickness of the thinnest one, and the thinnest one is my Nova color, and I think I'm gonna say this is probably about a 3-second trace. Might be a little more than 3, but it's right around a 3-second trace, so they're pretty heavy. These are pretty thick. And what I did was I matched the thickness of all the others to this thickness. I can't tell you exactly how much water I put in because you just have to add it until it matches the correct consistency. And for me, it was for that Nova color. And this is a beautiful Nova. This is called Antique Gold. It's really gorgeous. So all I did was I started with a little bit of a puddle here in the middle of my canvas. And this is, like I said, it's titanium white. And what I wanted to do was use the titanium white as a base for like a background for these other colors. I have only 2 colors of the 7 that aren't metallics. So I'm hoping this is going to be really shiny and really beautiful when I finally get it done. I'm not going to be spinning this one. I am actually going to just be tilting this one. So I'm hoping I actually get enough paint on here because this is a little bit new for me not to use my spinner. So I'm just going to kind of pull this out a little bit more to get it closer to the edge of the canvas, just because I need a little bit more of that background color. I don't want the blue to show through totally. So like I said, welcome or welcome back. This is going to be another really simple tutorial. This is some of the information that I wish I knew when I first started fluid art and didn't have a huge budget. I still don't have a huge budget, but I do have a little bit more room to work with as far as my budget goes right now. But this is for all of those of you who are starting out, who really want a simple, fun way to either make art for yourself, to hang on your own walls, you want to make things to give other people. And I'll say this, I've said this in my last tutorial video too with the Floetrol. When you use Floetrol, it's not recommended that you are selling your pieces just because of the fact that Floetrol is not typically archival. So if you're selling or showing at a gallery or selling, say you have a doctor's office that needs art and they want things that are going to be lasting, that are going to be archival, you don't want to be using Floetrol in your mixes. So I recommend to do this for those of you who are beginners, just starting out, or if this is just a hobby for you and you don't really want to do a lot with all the fancy pouring mediums, I recommend using Floetrol. There is a European Floetrol as well. It's called Oetrol. And I do have some of that. That does give different results. And I will be doing another tutorial with the Oetrol, which is the European Floetrol. I'll be doing some tutorials with that as well, so that you can see how this works. This style works with that as well. But like I said, if you're selling, if you want your pieces to be archival and last a long time, I don't recommend using Floetrol as your pouring medium. There are a lot of really great pouring mediums out there that are archival. They are a little bit more expensive, but they're worth it because you want your art to stick around for a while. Okay, so just popping the bubbles there. So that's the white for the base coat. Now I've got, like I said, 7 colors. Again, these are all mixed. 1 part paint, 4 parts Floetrol. This is the Floetrol that I'm using. And if any of them are a little bit thicker, I thin them all down to match the thickness of my thinnest one, which is the Nova Antique Gold. I'm also working with, like I showed you, the golden. This is a tube paint. This is the transparent brown oxide. I'll be using that. I'm also working with a couple of the Soho. I love the Soho metallics. This is the bronze. And then over here I have the Soho copper. This is my new favorite color. And then I also have an Artist Loft. And this is Artist Loft. And this is metallic gold. And then I have the 2 that aren't metallics. That is Liquitex Basic. This is Raw Sienna, which has more of an orangey color to it. And then this one is Burnt Umber, which is a darker brown. So I'm using all of those on my base of titanium white. And what I'm going to do this time is, I think this cup is big enough. It might not be. I'm going to go with a little bit bigger cup. I do have a few of these cups kicking around. This is a 2.5 cup. That first one I have was 1.5. And because I don't have a ton of base layer on here, I just want to make sure I put enough color on it. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to add these a little bit at a time, and I'm going to layer them up like I would be doing, say, a cloud pour, but I'm going to do a different style. I'm not going to start in the middle and then spin it around. I'm going to do a little bit more of a ribbon, hopefully. I say that, and then it'll end up not looking like that. Okay, so I'm going to start with the Burnt Umber. I'm going to put a little bit of Burnt Umber in the bottom. And then I'm going to go with the copper. Put that right down the side. There's some copper. Now my goal with this is not to make cells. Some cells might form because I am using metallics and non-metallics. And sometimes because of the viscosity, the metallics cause cells, but that's not my goal here. So then this is the Raw Sienna. And this is the Artist Loft Gold. This is the Soho Bronze. And this is that golden transparent oxide brown, which is very similar in color to the Burnt Umber. And this is the Antique Gold from Nova. And now I'm going to go back through and just do the same thing again. There's the Burnt Umber. There's the copper. There's the Raw Sienna. The Artist Loft Gold. Oh, hold on. There was a chunk of dunk in there. Hold on, something just went into my paints. Caught it. We don't want you in there, whatever you are. Okay, got it. Then this is the Soho Bronze. And this is the Transparent Oxide Brown. in the antique gold. I might not need all of this for this canvas. I don't know yet. I do want some of the white showing. So I do want some negative space. Let's see what happens. So what I'm gonna do is just pour it out kind of haphazardly and we'll see what happens. This is the first time I've actually done a ribbon pour, you guys, so I really don't know what I'm doing. How's that for an educational video? You're learning from someone who doesn't know what they're doing. Okay, I'm just gonna start by pouring it kind of haphazardly. Okay, interesting, huh? All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tilt it. And again, I've not done this before, so this may end up looking like butt. I do not know. But if it does, you know what I say. At least it will be pretty butt. And this is the messy part. Okay, here we go. I'm going to start by tilting this part off because this strikes me as something that I don't want to keep on here for very long. And then I'm going to go this way, a little bit like that. Okay, and then I think I want to tilt some, whenever you're tilting, I try to remind everyone to remember to bring the weight of your paint back to the center of your canvas. It does make it so that stuff doesn't get real wonky, but this is going to be wonky anyway, just by virtue of the style of the pour that this is. I'm going to scoot a little bit of that off of that way. Okay, then I'm going to bring it back. Oh, that antique gold, so pretty. Okay, I'm going to bring the weight of it back to the center. And then I'm going to take some off of this way. I'm going to take a good amount off of this way. There we go. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, then I'm going to bring it back, and I just want to take a little bit off of this side here. I think. So there ended up not being quite as much of the background color, which is fine because a lot of these are metallics and they're going to be really gorgeous when they dry. And I'm okay with there being a little bit less of the white. I did want a little bit more of the white background. So next time what I think I would do is use the smaller cup. But again, I wasn't sure what this was going to look like this time. So I'm loving these thin ribbons. Hold on, you guys. As soon as I get this tilted off, I'm going to set it back up so you can see these thin ribbons that came through. Oh, I really like this. This is very, very different, and I'm sure you will agree. Very different from what I normally do, especially when I'm spinning. Like it. I like it. I am going to do a little bit on the sides here just to make sure that I cover up. And I think what I will do when this dries is I will put I will paint the edges most likely. Probably I will do them in gold leaf, perhaps. I think this would look really pretty with gold leaf. I think there's an area over there that I haven't cleaned off yet. So let me see if I can get this spun around without moving my cups too much. I'm going to just spin this around like that so that I can get this side. Where's my cup? It's over there.
I don't have quite enough covering the edge right here, and there's a spot over there too that's... So then you just dribble a little bit down the side and it covers it up nicely. Like that. And there we go. Okay. So that, as they say, is that. Now let me take a step back here. I am going to switch my gloves because these are a little bit gross right now. I'm going to take a step back and look at this and see if there's anything I want to change about it. Okay. Let me grab some gloves. All right, first I think what I need to do is pop some bubbles because there are a few. So there are some cells that have formed. There's a couple right here, and there's a few right here. Not many, and that's okay because I wasn't going for cells. Definitely not sad about the lack of cells. I really like this piece. I think it's very earthy, which is what I was going for. And because I used a lot of metallics, all 5 of them, the only 2 that I used that weren't metallics were the burnt umber and the raw sienna, the dark brown and the reddish brown. So it will have some shine to it. It'll be kind of sparkly and shimmery, which I think is going to be gorgeous. And it's very earthy. Let me see if I can just clear that. Oops, I got some on my arm. I do tend to clean as I go because I'm a little bit weird like that. I'm a little OCD. I like to clean things up as I go along. And that copper, ooh, there's a little bit of copper that's just shining through in ribbons, you guys. Oh, it's so pretty. So I think, like I said, what I will do next time is same white base with a smaller cup. But this I'm loving. This is, wow. Let me see if I can take a little bit of the drips off the edge there. I don't know what you guys think about this. I'm hoping this was a helpful tutorial. I'm really wanting to do more of these. I know I've had a few of you have commented and saying that you missed when I was talking to you, and that's very sweet. And I will endeavor to make more of these educational videos. This is so neat the way these little, because remember when I dumped in big blobs and then I kind of dribbled a little bit of it, I was hoping to get some of these thin, they're so cool. I'm so tickled with how this came out, you guys. I can't even tell you how much I'm loving this. Oh, and that, the Soho copper, it looks like it's like almost like a pink. Just, oh, I'm gonna have to do another one of these with these same colors. I have a bunch of colors left over. I'll just need to mix some more white. Oh, I love this. Okay, I'm gonna come over there and give you guys a close-up so that you can see this a little more closely and you can see some of these ribbons that I'm talking about. You can also see there are a couple of cells, but they're really interesting. There's very few and they're very strategically placed, which I did not do that at all. So definitely give a shout out in the comments and let me know from where in the world you're watching, because I love to watch the comments and see how many of you all are watching from outside of the US, because I am in the US. Also excited to announce that hopefully, as this is airing, the day that I post this, I'm hoping my very first piece has made it to its new home in Texas. I'm very excited about that. Never have I ever had anyone in Texas hanging my art. I'm so delighted. So I'm going to come around there and bring you guys in for a close-up so you can see this beautiful piece. All right then, here we go. So you can see that pink, it looks sort of pinkish right there, right next to that gray. That is that gorgeous copper from Soho. And the grayish color that you're seeing
is that beautiful Nova color, the antique gold. I'm loving that because it's looking gray on the video, but when you get it in the right light, it's got this, oh, you can't see because the window, I'm sorry. It's got this beautiful gold. Oh, I can't wait to see this dry, you guys. This came out so much better than I was expecting it to. There's some more of that base layer you can't really hardly see, but let me bring you in for these cells. See, there's just a few. They don't dominate the piece, so this is completely the opposite of my abstract cellism. See, there's a few of them right along. They're just strategically placed. They're just hanging out. I'm loving these thin lines. You see all these thin lines going through? So neat. Okay, and here we go. We'll step out so you can see, hopefully, from above. There you go. What do you think? I'm eager to hear what you guys think of this piece. Thank you once again for joining me for another fluid art tutorial. I am Little K, the artist also known as Kristen. I appreciate you all so much. I hope you drop a comment. Let me know what you think of this beautiful 24-inch round piece, depending on how it dries. I may or may not be putting this one up for sale as well because it's just very gorgeous. And it would definitely be a tester piece, and it would be, I would absolutely have a discounted price on it because it is made of the Floetrol. But I will seal it if it dries well and I like it. Otherwise, I might scrape it and do a different one on top of it. But I'm really liking this, and I really love how with a simple pouring medium, just the Floetrol and water, you can get this beautiful kind of an earthy feel. And I'm really eager to try these same colors with my new pouring medium and also my abstract cellism pouring medium, and also I think maybe even with the Dutch pour style bloom, the Dutch pour style mix that I have. I'm eager to try these colors with the same style, even doing a ribbon pour and seeing what happens with that. So thank you all for joining me. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much from the bottom, top, and middle of my heart. This is Little K reminding you and encouraging you to go make the art. You'll be so glad you did.